Your daily escape is brought to you by me, Cassie, with Oddball Escapes. The windmills of the Netherlands. I absolutely loved my visits to the Netherlands, and one of the most iconic things to represent this area is the windmill. There are over 1,000 windmills in Holland. Not all of them are still operating, but we want to show you a few that still are, that you'll most likely want to visit while exploring this beautiful country. Let's start with the famous windmills at Kinderdijk. This is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the more famous areas for tourists to visit windmills. Why? Well, there are 19 of them, all fairly close together, making this one of the largest concentrations of old windmills in the Netherlands. As you can see, these windmills were built to control the water levels. Much of the Holland area of the Netherlands is in a very watery environment, very marshy, boggy. The land is very unstable and unsuitable to live on. For centuries, people who were living in this area tried various methods to drain this land and make it livable, but it was a huge problem. So, in the 1700s, the Dutch began to build windmills. The windmills would pump water into a reservoir so that they could dry out the land and make it livable, but not too much water that it would destroy the soil levels. The windmills actually allowed them to better regulate the water levels. And if you visit here, not to burst your bubble, just to let you know, a few of these windmills are still working, but there is a diesel pumping station nearby that pretty much controls this problem now. This is the Falcon. It's a mill in Leiden. It was built in 1785, but this mill was used differently. It didn't displace water, it was used to grind grain, and it still grinds grain today. It has been restored and once again functions, but it's a bit more touristy because it has also been made into a museum. The cool part though, while you're here on a visit, you can buy whole wheat flour that's been grounded up by this mill. I love that. Here's a picture that I took while I was inside of a different windmill that I visited. It's not the Falcon one that you just saw, but you can get an idea of how the process works. The arms of the windmill on the outside spin, and it turns the gears on the inside of the windmill that make this grinding wheel go around. Pretty cool. And this windmill, it's in Amsterdam. It's actually a sawmill built in the 1600s. You see how it's located on the canal? They would strap a bunch of logs together and float them down the canal to this windmill, or to any of the other 50 or so that used to be in this district back then. This is one of the only remaining of its kind. And the logs, once they were inside, they would be sawn into planks, which would be dried and stored in nearby sheds. Okay, one last windmill example. Chans? Yeah, good luck at saying this one. This is just outside of Amsterdam, and it used to be one of the world's first industrial areas, and it had an estimated 600 windmills. Of course, today there's not nearly that many, but it is an open air museum with several well preserved windmills and authentic Dutch houses. It's definitely an area that showcases the old style of life back in the 16 and 1700s. You can't visit the Netherlands without visiting a windmill. That's the rule because I just made it up, but it should be a rule. I suggest you consider a biking tour. There are bicycling routes that take you past beautiful windmills, and you also get to enjoy the bicycling experience, which the Netherlands are also known for. Finally, if you can plan your trip to line up with the second Saturday and Sunday in May, you'll get to experience Molendag or National Mill Day. This is when windmills and water mills all around the country open their doors to visitors. Over 900 mills participate. It's the perfect opportunity to get inside of some of the historic mills that aren't open during the rest of the year.